This conference will now
Yeah,
be
hi, good
recorded.
morning, all. So let's get started now. So today we are going to work on validations. Okay. So why validations required here? So if we take any kind of web form, we need to enter the valid data. Okay. So the validations ensures that whatever the data entered by user is correct and accurate because the same data is going to be stored in the database, right? So here in the PRPC, we have two types of validations available. So one is the client side validation and another is server side validation. So client side validation is also called as browser side validation. And so we have a server side validation. Okay. So client side validation. So user inputs will be validated before submitting the work object form. User inputs will be validated before submitting the work object form. So this is after submitting. So you entered the data in the form, okay? And when you click on submit button, then only it will display a message if there is any error, okay? So that means, so the data will be posted to the server, okay? And the validation happens at server side. And if there is any error, it will send back to the client, okay? So now here we have a rule called uh, edit validate, which we use for client side validation. And here we have a rule called obj validate. So obj validate is for server side and edit validate is for client side. Okay. So now, so we have many of the out of the box edit validate tools available, and in most of the cases we use them, and sometimes so we'll have to customize those rules in order to meet the client requirement. Okay. So now, so in the borrower details, so we have a email ID property, right? Let me execute any flow. So have we created email property? I think we have in the borrower. If not, so let's create it. So we have a property called email in the borrower, right? But it is not there in the screen. So now, so let's open the borrower details section and include email property. Okay, so let's take the control text input. So now tell me, so what is the difference between this control and, so we define in the property, right? So let's say, so we have a material status property, and while creating the property itself, so we can define the control. So that is the original control. Okay, so wherever you use this material status, and this control will be taken. So when you drag and drop it, okay. But so in some form, I want the different control. So here I don't want, uh, you know, yeah, radio button. So I want it to be in the text input, for example. Okay, so can make it text input, but the original control will be, yeah, radio button. And but the values you must need to enter either yes or no. Okay, so this is called property validation. Clear? So whatever the values is specified in the local list, so the entered values, value must be available in that list only. Okay, so now let's take the text input. Text input means, so user is going to enter the value. Okay, so these are all text inputs, right? So this is the field control and this is radio button. Okay, so now if we take any kind of email, so @ is a mandatory, right? So without @ it should not accept. Okay, so you enter the email without @ and it will, it has to display a error message. Okay, so for that, so we have a edit validate out of the box rule. Okay, that we can apply here. So let's go to the email property. So the edit validate is applicable for only a property, and wherever you use that property, so that time it will validate. Okay, so now, so we are validating email property, and let's say you refer this email property in different screens. Okay, it will be validated. So if you are not entering the email without @ so it will display an error message, right? So now go to the advanced tab, and so here we have a edit validate. Okay, sorry, this is edit input and this is edit validate. Okay, so this is not validation rule, this is just to transform the data. I want to change the format, so after submitting it, after entering the data. So let's say, so if I enter the data in the lower case, it has to be converted to the uppercase automatically. Okay, so for that we have a edit input called to uppercase, like that. Okay, so we'll use that for different property. So this is edit validate, and which contains the Java code. So if you open any edit validate, so you will see the Java code. Okay, but mostly, so you don't need to write, because you can choose the validate rule available. These are the default out of the box rules. Okay, sometimes let's say if user client wants to display different error message, or if you want to configure for different requirement, and sometimes you'll have to modify the code slightly. Okay, and so most of the times, like so if it is the unique requirement, so you can go through the PDN and you can find the source. Okay, so now here, so we have a edit validate call valid email address is valid. Let me check here. Valid email address. So if you open this edit validate, so it contains some Java code, right? So but we don't bother about this. So even Pega doesn't recommend to write the Java code except for these rules. Okay. So now here in this case, so we can use out of the box edit validate tool. Okay. So now let's execute. Let's refresh this. So we have invoked valid email address rule for the email property. Okay. So now I am entering the email like this. See now, so the immediately it is getting displayed a message. Okay. So what kind of validation it is? Client side or server side? Client side, right? So we
Client side.
haven't clicked on submit button. So if we click on submit button and if it displays this message, then it will be a server side validation. Okay. So now I'm entering at the rate. Okay, it's gone, right? So this is how the edit validate rule validates the user input. Okay. So now similarly you can find so is non-negative integer, like if you are going to enter the value in a non-negative, so it will display a message. Okay. So if -10, like if you put the value, the negative value, so it is going to display message. Okay. And mostly so we have a US zip code. Okay. So if it is not in the US zip code format, so it will display an error message. Okay. So it must be 5 digits. So this is in the Java, which contains this is called regular expression, and the entered, this means the entered value should be digit and 5 digit only. If it is not the value, that means the entered value is not, the length of the entered value is not equivalent to 5, so it is going to display message. Okay. So we have a zip code property, right? So let's call that. So if you want to validate the different countries zip code, then again you will have to modify that code. Okay. So let's check in this. So we invoked valid email address. Okay. So now, so we have a zip property, zip code. So do we have here? Otherwise we create a zip code. Yeah, we have that property somewhere, right? Let's say, yeah, here. So go to the address details. Go to the zip property and invoke that rule. Okay. So go to the advanced tab, use validate US zip. Okay. And similarly we have so US phone number also. Okay. So now let's enter some address details. 1 2 3 4 5 6. what happened? The value entered is not matching with the format. Okay, so it must be 5 digits. So if we are entering 4 digit also, it will display the message. Just give me 1 second. 1 second. Right. So even if we enter the 4 digit, it will display the same message because always it should be 5 digit. But if we are entering without with let's say alphabet like this. 1 second. See now. Okay. So let's say this is 5 digit only, but it contains character also, right? So it should be digit only. Now, okay, clear. So it is length is 5, but it contains the character. Okay, so it should be only digits and length should be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. Okay, so this is also called client-side validation, right? And so wherever you use the zip, and this will be validated. Okay, and similarly you can find US4 and some other validators. Okay, so now let's use two uppercase for one property. So we have a first name property. Okay, and so the entered value has to be converted to uppercase. So go to the edit input and to uppercase. Okay, so this is first name, right? So I entered the first name value in the lowercase. Okay, so look at here and click on submit. So now go to the clipboard, py work page, bar over. So you see the first name in uppercase. Okay, so this is how we use edit input. Let's say we have so requirement, so where you need to convert the format of phone number, like so if we enter the 10 digit and it has to be like so it has to be in the US format. Let's say if they want like this in this format, how many digits it is? 4, 8, like this. So what you need to do is, so you need to write a code for first 4 digit, it should be first 4 digits should be in the braces. So you need to handle that part if the client asks in that way. Okay. So for that, so we need to take the similar kind of Java code and we need to modify it. Okay, so for example, let me show you that. Okay, so we need to write the code like this. But in the project, like so if you don't know the Java code, the people so who knows about Java will do generally, or else like so you can find the code in the PDN and you can copy it. Okay, so you can do in that way also. So now here, so entered phone number should be 10 digit always, okay? And so other than digits, so it will replace with non-value, and it should be always 10 digit, right? So for first 3 digit, okay, 0 to 3, okay? So it contains the bases, and there is an iPhone, okay? After 3 to 6 digit, then iPhone, then 6 to 4. Last 4 digits should be like this without braces, okay? So you can, so I'll give this code, okay? So for phone number validation, you can use US phone, and it has to be converted, right, to this format. So for that, what you can do is you can create a edit input rule. This is edit input, right? So you can create a rule. Let's say if you want to create a new rule, what is that? Phone format. US phone number format, right? You can create a edit input from here itself, and you can place the code like this, okay? And you call that rule here. So let's assume that, so first name is the phone number. Okay, let's assume that first name is phone number, and use US phone. If it is already in the format, then we don't need to handle. Let's see that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's not valid. So it has to validate before clicking on submit. Okay, let's execute flow again. Okay, there is some, it has to validate. So you don't need to click on submit because it's client side, right? So invalid value specified for first name. Let's put 10 digit. So now it is accepting, right? Go to the clipboard. First name. So format has been changed. See? So because we have invoked this phone format as edit input. Okay. So this has to be, I think, so we need to refresh that, but it doesn't require So this is the
after editing.
Sorry.
We have given both, right?
Yeah, both will be validated at the same
first
time.
It will edit the input and then it will validate.
No, first, actually, it will validate. Then this edit input value, this rule will be invoked. Okay. So likewise, we can test.
So Satya, in the interview, they will be asking about core Java related questions also.
No, they don't ask about this. Even so this main aim of Java is PRPC is zero coding. So if you write some code, and if you have any issue, even Pega will not support in most of the cases. So this is the place where we generally write the code, and so this will not be that much complexity. Okay, so you can modify the existing code, or you can get the code from the sources, and you can validate it. So mostly we validate like zip phone numbers in this. Okay, so remaining fields, like let's say So you can check with the database and we can display message. Okay. Let's say we have a first name and last name. Okay. If it should be different, right? So both should not be the same. Okay. And we have a age. Okay. Age must be in between, 20 to 60 like this. So these kind of validations we can do easily. And so this like phone number, and so this will be vary based on the country, right? In some countries zip code start with letter, in some countries it will be only digit like that, so we need to handle that part.
Okay.
So in the interviews they will not ask about the Java code and all, but they will ask you about the difference between the client side and server side, and what are the rules we have for client side, and what are the rules for server side. And if they ask you like so have you ever modified the Java code, then like so you can tell these examples. I will give you some code, some validations Java code, and you can explain them if they ask in some cases. Okay. So
Okay.
if you have more experience, let's say 10 years like that, they might ask this kind of question, so you'll be able to answer. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
so now let's work with server side validation. Okay. So we have a rule called obj validate, which is available under process category. Okay. So here, so if you want to create edit validate from here, so you go to the data model. So you see both edit input and validate. So you create a rule here and you call that in the property. Okay. So now, so put heading validate the first name and last name. Validate first name, last name, and age. So here you can put multiple properties. It's not like edit validate. So you can validate multiple. So validate borrower details. So we cannot put only validate age or validate, if you are validating only age by using this, yes, you can put like that. So now, so we can validate all the fields like which are applicable for validation can be put here in this rule. Okay, means like you can put multiple conditions, validations. Clear? So this is obj validate rule form, and here we call the property where we display the message, and so here we put the conditions. Okay. So this is to invoke another validate. Double click on this. Okay, let me put borrower dot what happened. So just let me refresh. What the process validate borrower details. See now, so here also some validation. So if you okay, so here also we have some validation rule, and so whenever you put label, okay, with the spaces, and when you click on tab out, so what is happening? So spaces are getting removed automatically, right? So format is getting changed. So behind that also, so we have some edit input value, edit input rule. Okay. So now let's put borrower dot. So this is like where you want to display the message. Okay, double click on condition and click on add, and here we have the predefined functions available, and we can also call expression builder. So these are most frequently used functions, and I want to use the expression builder. So we use uh, for manipulating the work object ID, right? The similar way, so here also you can use the expression builder. Okay, so now here our requirement is so first name, both are strings, right? First name, and we are comparing first name with the last name. So if both are same, we need to display the message on the property saying that last name should be different from first name. So we put let me put last name, not first name. So first we enter first name, then last name, right? Okay, so first number relation second number. So if you want to compare two different numbers, so we use this for age. So here first string relation second string, comparing two different strings. First string doesn't equal second string, string not equals ignore case. First string equals second string, string equals ignore case. So let's say, so if you put first string relation second string, so let's say compare two strings, and if you enter the data like this, let's say the first name I entered in the lower case, and then the last name I entered in the uppercase, so it will not validate. It will consider both are different. Okay, because we are not ignoring the cases. So we are just comparing two different strings. Okay, it will treat as different, but it has to be. So if we enter in this way also, yeah, it should validate, right? So for that, what we need to do is, so we need to use ignore case function. String equals ignore case. It will ignore the cases and it will validate. Okay, the strings are same, so irrespective of cases, so it will validate. Clear? Borrower dot first name and borrower dot last name. Okay, so if it violates, if this condition doesn't satisfy, let's say, so are we putting the correct function? If it is equals, yeah, if first string is equal to yeah, if first name is equivalent to last name, so we need to display this message, otherwise this message will not be displayed. Okay, last name should be different from first name, or you can put in, yeah, yes, you can put in that way also. Both cannot be same, right? So generally, this message, like what exact message we need to display, that business people will provide. So in the documents, like so what kind of validation they want, and based on that, like you'll be configuring. Okay. So additional validation also you can put. Okay. So these are all procedural, right? So edit input, edit validate, so it's like other rules also, other rules. It's not like declarative rules. So we have invoke valid email address rule to the property. So that's the reason it's got invoke, right? So now we created this obj validate, and we must need to invoke somewhere in order to make it executable, right? So where we need to call is, if we go to the flow action, so this property is related to the whisk screen. This validation is related to borrower details. So you must need to go for borrower details flow action. We can call in different places also. So let's take this flow action. Okay. And so this will be executed here only. So once you click on, first screen, once you click on submit, this will be validated, and this will not validate somewhere else. Okay. Though if you refer these properties, first name and last name in some other screen, there it will not validate. Okay. Because we haven't invoked for the property, right? So we invoked in the flow action. So whenever the flow action executed, that time this validation will be fine. Okay. So now check out this rule. Go to the validation. So here you can call validation rule. So what is the validation we created? Okay. If you want to update the work object status upon the validation, so you can do that by enabling this. Okay. Clear? So now let's go to the first name. Both are same or different? Both are same, right? Since it is a server side, so once you click on submit, it will validate. So last name should be different from the first name. So if we put, let's say, the different name, so it will accept. So it will allow you to go to the next screen. Clear? Any questions so far? So let's validate the age. Okay. So again, you don't need to create a separate rule. Let's say if you want to validate second screen related details, then you need to create a separate rule and even work there. Okay. So check out, since we are modifying the same rule. So here you can put multiple conditions like this in this way. And if you want to remove, so here you will see this option. So generally, like if so you will not find delete option anywhere here. So once you put the cursor inside this, then only you will see this icon. Right? So now we are validating borrower age. So what is our requirement here? So we are comparing two different numbers. First number relation second number. The first value. So you can also use this one, I think. Let's say first number relation second number. If borrower age less than 20,
Range of same property.
yeah. So here you can put logical operator, or again use the same function. If borrower is less than 20 or greater than 60, okay, is greater than, again, like based on the requirement, you can use this. So here, if it is less than 20 or greater than 60, this will be validated. So what you can put, age must be in between 20 and 60. So this is server side, right? So if you want it to client side, then you need to write the code. So take the similar kind of, find out the similar kind of edit validate rule and you modify accordingly. Okay. So now, okay, yeah, let's execute. So this validation will pass and let's say 2000. Just give me 1 second. No, we already invoked, right? So since we have a declarative, so it will not be displayed on the property. Okay. So there was a one rule in the private edit. So in some messages it will display on the property as well as here, right? So we need to handle that. So behind this we have a error section out of the box, and so if it is property, like if you are putting the validation on property, this should not be displayed. So that we need to handle. Okay. But since we have the declarative, this is a target, right? So you cannot display message on target property, but rather you can display on, the top of this thing. Okay. Right. So now let's change. Let's put 1990. Okay. So now submit it and let's see whether it is passing or not. Right. So if it is more than, if it is less than 20 or greater than 60, then this will be filed. Okay. Now similarly we can validate other things. Okay, so let's say we have two different dates. Okay, let me show you that. The function, right? A date time is in the future. Okay, so if we are, let's say we have a date property, and if you are not entering in the future date, if you are not entering the future date, it will display message. This must be in future date. So let's say you are applying for a leave, and so let's say the start date must be a future, so you can use this validation. Okay, and so first date relation second date, so let's say you are comparing two different dates. Okay, let's say if start date is greater than end date, you need to display message. So start date must be less than end date, right? So you can use this validation, this function. And so not equals ignore case, the opposite to equals ignore case. You will find somewhere here string not equals ignore. String not equals ignore case. So it is not equals, it is not equals. Okay. So when we use that, if it is not equal, so if you want to display something, then you can use that by ignoring cases. So first values relation second value. It is like, again, you can use this for validating the age. So page list name contains a page. Okay, that is complex function. we'll see later. And if you want use expression builder, so we have a expression evaluated to true. Okay, so here you need to call expression builder. And if you want to invoke the when rule, let's say I will define the conditions in the when rule and I will call the when rule here. Can do that. Okay, and if the when rule returns true, that means the condition is satisfied and the validation will be fine. Okay, so you can call a when rule. Let's say you define the same message, same condition in the when rule. Okay, and we call here, so it will be valid. So when we go for that is, let's say if you have already a when rule and you can directly invoke it here for validation, or if you want to put more conditions, let's say I'm putting 4 to 5 and sometimes it is A and B, or like, let me open this. So it's like validating multiple conditions. So I define the conditions like this. Okay, 3 conditions. I want to display the message either A and B satisfies or C satisfies. Clear? And we call this when rule here, and it will be validated if the when rule returns true. So you cannot put these kind of things here, right? Okay, it will be little complex. So you can put only or, and so you can also put here like this. But if you have you need to call this function multiple times. Okay, clear? So you know how to validate date, two different strings or two different values, or to invoke the when rule, or to call expression builder also, right? So based on that, you can validate some other things. Okay, so let's say we have a property called zip. Okay, and just you want to check the length of that zip code. So here the zip code must be 6 digit or 5 digit in India. 5,57,000. 5 digit. 6 digit,
6
right?
digit.
Yeah. So how can we validate is let's say current address. Okay, so it is also part of our screen, right? So now, so here we have a function. So we need to use the expression builder for this. So we have a length function. Why it is not? Okay, let me. So continue validations, right? So let's say if this is fail, if if it displays the error message, it will not, by default, it will go to the next property to evaluate. Let's say if you deselect this, if this condition is not satisfied, sorry, if this condition is satisfied, it will not go to the next property to evaluate. Okay, what happened this? So we have a function called, let me refresh it, length. Okay, so if length is not equivalent to 6, okay, so you can display message. That means either if you enter the length in 4 digit or 7 digit, it will display message. Okay. So but it will be client server side, not a client side validation. So you enter the zip code and when you click on submit, it will be fine. But what PRPC recommend is, so you always configure both client side as well as server side so that you cannot ignore it. Sometimes, for client side validation, so we can disable the client side validation, in the harness rule. That is a separate way. Okay, but you cannot avoid, you cannot violate this server side validation. So if you configure, it will be executed always. But for better user experience, the client side validation is good, right? So when you enter, immediately it will be displayed. Okay. Yeah, so based on the requirements, we can go for that. So, but better to configure both. So the main aim of validation is, so you need to, uh, allow user to enter the valid data, right? So if you configure both also, nothing will happen. Okay. So if you enter the valid data, either it is client side or server side, it will not violate. Okay. Right. So expression evaluates to true. So here you can search with length. What is the spelling? Right. So length of the string. So here you can put current address dot zip. Similarly, permanent address dot zip. So you need to validate that also. Okay. Can we test this? Let me enter zip 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. No, how you need to put this is, not equivalent. This should be false, right? Just I think hmm, this is correct only. Current address dot zip, not equivalent to 6. But again, it will allow only, it can allow, even it will allow the characters, right? Yeah, so but you need to handle that. So that's the reason, like, so we need to configure the client side validation. So we have a, so over TV1, so you can use that in somewhere, in some places, like, if you want to just to check the length, you can use this function. Okay. So otherwise, length of zip code length must be 6 digit. Okay. This function is just to check the length of the string, whether it is a number or character or whatever. So you can test that. So we have already validation for zip, right? So let me remove that. Okay. Okay, so you can use this validate later. So since we have validate, edit validate, we can go for this instead of writing separate validation. One, two, three, four, five. Zip code length must be 6 digit, right? So now let's put 6 digit. So now zip code is gone. So zip validation is not happening because we entered 6 digit. So even if we enter, it will validate. Mean like it is accepted. So even if you enter, so we are not handling this part, right? So we are just checking the entered value, entered the text or entered text. Okay, but if you want accept only the digit, then again we need to handle that part. Okay.
Because the property type is text, we can keep it as integer also. That will also.
Yeah, the integer is if we put integer, but this we configure in the text in text only, but so we validate that through validation rules. So we have a edit validate call is integer only or something, so you can use that also. Okay, let me show you that. So let's say if you want to allow only the characters, right, is non-integer. Is non-negative. Okay, is non-negative integer, is letter, or is integer. So these are validate. Okay, so these are different validate tools. Is letter. Let's see. So we used is letter. One, two, three, four, five, six. So if it is letter, so if it is letter, it will accept. So now you need to use this one. Yeah, is integer. So if it is integer, it will accept. So now it's gone, right? You need to refresh. See now it is happening, right? So likewise, so now put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if we enter, so like this, also it will validate, right? So if we enter all the digits, it will allow. Okay. So but like so some other message is getting displayed, right? So that you need to handle. So you take that code and you put the values. So if we are able to validate, if we are able to understand one validation code, so we'll be able to understand like so for this validation, so let me show you this phone number. So this you need to understand the syntax, the value. The value is the standard variable. So the value. So whatever the value we enter, that will be assigned to the variable called the value. Okay. So entered value is equal entered value will be assigned to this variable called the value. Okay, based on that it will validate. Okay, so any question? So if we have some time, then I will explain the leave request application so that you can start working on that. So you can design at least first 2 sprints. Okay. So tomorrow, so actually I have a planned vacation, so I'm going to attend a function. So I cannot take the class tomorrow. So, but we'll have on Friday. Okay. So, okay, we'll explain in 10 minutes. So like, you can design, at least 2 screens. So complete application you cannot implement at this point of time because we haven't covered all the rules, right? So now, so I will be explaining this, so that like, so whatever the rules we covered so far, by using those rules only you will be able to implement first 2 screens. Okay. But the validations, like, so as we discussed, like sometimes, you'll have to use the date related validation. So you can, go through the functions and you can find out and you can do that validation. And if you want to take the difference between 2 different dates, so again, like we have a date difference function, you can go for that. You can try, the different, you can go through the functions and you can find out the similar one based on the requirement. Okay. So this is the leave request application, and user should be able to initiate a leave request from a portal. I mean, the portals will be covered later. Just like, you create a flow. So whenever you launch a flow, the portal is nothing but a flow here. So when we launch auto loan, this is the first screen, right? So borrower details is the first screen, either you launch auto loan or home loan. So you create a flow called leave request. When you launch the leave request, the first screen should be the employee related details. Okay. So these are the fields in the first screen. So are you okay? Or like if I take 10 to 15 minutes, guys? Online guys.
Fine, Satya.
Yeah. So these are the fields, okay? Employee ID, employee name, the designation, the project name and supervisor. And the employee ID should be the autocomplete, okay? And so for this, we'll have some data class as a source. Okay, you define some, 4 to 5 employees in the data class, and those employees IDs should be populated in the autocomplete. It is like Google search. It's not a drop down. So let's say, so employee ID is 5 digit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. And if you enter first 2 digit, it has to display the matched employee IDs. Okay. So you can use the autocomplete. So similar to drop down, you will find a autocomplete control. You can use that. Okay. And occurrence, you can put like either 2 digit or 3 digit or 4 digit like that. If you put 3 digit, that means if first 3 digit matches, it will display the related employee IDs. Okay. And the employee name, designation, project name, supervisor has to be displayed automatically. So when you select the employee ID from the autocomplete, it has to display the corresponding details automatically, the read-only format. Okay. So now for this, so from where you are fetching these details, so these details will be stored somewhere in the data class, right? So what you need to do is you create a employee information table means data class with the employee ID, primary key, first name, last name, designation, project ID. So here you are displaying the project details also. So, but project details will be available in the different data class. Clear? So here the project ID will be like, foreign key. So here in the project details data class, the project ID is the primary key. And let's say the employee is having the project ID, let's say P01, that you need to pass it to the project details data class to fetch that corresponding project details, and you can display that. So you are displaying project name, okay, employee project name and supervisor, but those details are available in project details, and some other details like employee name, designation are available in employee table. Okay, so you'll be selecting the employee ID from the autocomplete. So that ID, selected ID, you need to pass it to the employee information table and fetch the single record. So now you will have that employee information details along with the project ID on some page, and you take the project ID from that page and pass it to project details data class. Again, you will use one more OBJ open. Okay, and we will have the project details on different page, and you take some details from employee page and some details from project page. Clear? Simple. So now the leave details will be available on different data class, like number of medical leave, number of personal leave. So if you want, you can create some other like sick leave. Okay, medical leave is equivalent to sick leave, right? Or casual leaves, or if you want to put different types, you can include here. Okay, or else you create with these three properties. So whatever the employee IDs you put here, so for those employees only you need to put the leaves. Okay, let's say you define some initial leaves, and later, like so when the user, let's say employee applied for the leave and it is approved, and you have to detect it from the database automatically. So let's say if employee is applied for medical leaves, medical leave only should be detected. If it is personal leave, personal leave has to be detected from the database. Clear? So now, any question regarding the first screen? Online guys, simple, right? So based on the employee ID, you are populating the corresponding details in the read-only format. Now, so once user clicks submit, the next screen should show the leave details. Okay, so the medical leaves and personal leaves, and you need to sum up. Okay, and you display the total number of leaves and display personal leaves, medical leaves separately. Read only populate from the employee details. Okay, yeah, so you display the total number of leaves, total medical leaves and personal leaves. These are all read only, and you need to provide from date and to date to select the dates. Okay, so you should have two different date properties like from date and to date, and user should be able to select from date and to date. If user select from date is if from date is greater than to date, then you need to put some validation, and so those differences should be number of leaves user is going to apply. Okay, so you need to calculate number of leaves based on the from 1 to. Okay, so you need to calculate that. Validation is should not increase the total number of leaves, let's say 10. So user cannot, like employee cannot apply more than 10, for example. So you can restrict that. Okay, any question? And type of leave. So let's say if user selected personal and applied for 2 days, and those 2 leaves should be deducted from personal leaves once it is approved. If user selected medical leave, as a type, then medical leave should be deducted. Okay. So now, once submitted, an email needs to be taken. Okay, this is not yet covered, so you can skip this and you can do that later. Okay. Okay, approvals part is not yet covered. So you design at least first 2 screens, and we'll continue this. I will explain the continuation part in the next week. So once the email functionality and approval process is completed in our application, so you'll be able to configure this also. Okay, so just 2 screens. So mostly here, so you'll put validations and you will write some simple logic. Any questions? So now what I do is, so I will send you this leave request application on WhatsApp. Okay. So you can start, you create a new application called leave request and you design first 2 screens. Okay. So for that, you need to create 3 different classes, data classes with the data. Now let's say you entered but you need to enter the data accordingly. Let's say you entered 3 employee information, and so project IDs can be same or different, but so in the project details data class, so those IDs should match. So whatever the project IDs you specified, so you need to enter by taking only those project details. Otherwise, like later when you query it, it will not get the data if you put different project IDs. Okay. So you need to take care of while entering the data. And for those employee IDs only, you need to put the leaves as well. So that's it for today. We'll continue back on Friday. Thank you.
Thank you, Satya.
Thank you.